She was 8 months pregnant when her husband's mistress humiliated her in public. But what shocked everyone wasn't what happened, it was who stood there and did nothing, and the truth it exposed about their marriage. The night was supposed to celebrate power. A high-profile charity gala in New York, filled with billionaires, politicians, and cameras flashing from every angle. And right at the center of it all stood Avenue Weston, 8 months pregnant, wearing a flawless champagne silk gown that wrapped perfectly around her baby bump. Calm, elegant, untouchable. At least, that's what everyone thought. Across the room stood her husband, Daniel Weston. Sharp black suit. Perfect posture. But his eyes? Cold. Distant. Watching her, not like a wife, but like someone waiting for something to happen. Avenue felt it. That tension. That silence between them. But she ignored it. Because tonight wasn't about problems. Tonight was about appearances. Until the doors slammed open. The sound cut through the music. Heads turned instantly. And then she walked in. A blonde woman in a tight black dress, walking like she owned the room, her heels echoing with purpose. Amber Collins. Uninvited. Unapologetic. Dangerous. Ave's heart skipped. Because in that moment, she knew. This wasn't random. Amber walked straight up to her. No hesitation. No fear. A slow smile forming on her lips. "Enjoying your perfect little life," she said loudly. The room went quiet. Every eye locked onto them. Avenue tried to stay composed. Tried to speak. But she didn't even get the chance. Because Amber reached into her purse and pulled out a pair of scissors. Snip. The sound was sharp. Violent. Final. Amber grabbed Ave's gown and sliced it open from the side. Gasps exploded across the room. The expensive silk tore apart instantly, exposing her leg, ruining everything. Avenue froze. One hand flew to her stomach, protecting her baby. The other tried to hold her torn dress together. Her breathing turned shaky. Her world spinning. But Amber wasn't done. Not even close. She grabbed a glass of champagne and poured it slowly over Ave's body. Drip by drip. Like she was enjoying it. The crowd watched. No one stepped in. Phones came out. Whispers spread like wildfire. And Avenue? She stood there. Pregnant. Shaking. Humiliated in front of the entire room. Then slowly, she turned her head, looking for the only person who mattered in that moment. Daniel. Her husband. And when she found him, he wasn't angry. He didn't move. He didn't say a word. He just stood there. Watching. No shock. No reaction. No protection. And in that exact moment, Avenue realized something terrifying. This wasn't an accident. Amber leaned closer, her lips near Ave's ear. "You really thought he chose you," she whispered. Ave's chest tightened. Her heart dropped. Everything suddenly made sense. This wasn't just humiliation. It was planned. Because later that night, Avenue would discover the truth. Her husband wasn't just cheating. He was planning to take her baby, and erase her completely. But what Avenue discovered later that night was far worse than the humiliation. The ride home was silent. No calls. No messages. No apology. Avenue sat in the back seat, still in her torn, champagne-soaked gown, her hand resting protectively over her stomach, her mind replaying everything. The scissors. The crowd. Amber's smile. And Daniel. Standing there. Watching. Not shocked. Not angry. Just still. That was the part that wouldn't leave her. Because deep down, Avenue knew something wasn't right. And tonight, she was done ignoring it. The moment she got home, she stepped out of the car without waiting for help, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor as she walked in. The house was quiet. Too quiet. "Daniel," she called softly. No answer. Avenue frowned slightly, her fingers tightening around the fabric of her torn dress. Then slowly, she turned toward his study, a place he never liked her entering. But tonight, she didn't stop. She pushed the door open. Dark. Cold. Perfectly arranged. Avenue stepped inside carefully, her eyes scanning the room. Something felt off. Then she saw it. A file. Slightly pulled out from the drawer. Almost like it had been used recently. Her heart began to beat faster. She walked toward it slowly. Hesitated. Then opened it. And everything changed. Documents. Property papers. A house. Luxury. New. Ave's brows furrowed. Confusion first. Then she turned the page. Her breath caught instantly. A nursery layout. Detailed. Planned. Already designed. Ave's hand moved to her stomach without thinking. "No," she whispered. She flipped another page. Photos. Daniel. Standing beside Amber. Not hiding. Not distant. Close. Comfortable. Happy. Inside that same house. Ave's chest tightened. Her fingers trembled as she kept going. And then, she saw it. A separate document. Her name. Her eyes scanned the words quickly. Then slowed. Emotional instability. Psychological evaluation recommended. Unfit maternal condition. Avenue froze. The room suddenly felt smaller. Colder. Her breathing turned uneven. This wasn't random. This wasn't just betrayal. This was planned. Carefully. Deliberately. The gala. Amber. Daniel's silence. It all connected. Break her in public. Then prove she's unstable. Take her child. Replace her. Avenue slowly lowered the papers, her hand gripping her stomach tightly. "They're trying to take you," she whispered. Her eyes filled with tears. But this time, she didn't let them fall. Because something inside her was changing. The confusion. The hurt. The shock. It was disappearing. And in its place, something colder was rising. Understanding. Control. Avenue wiped her face slowly. Her breathing steady now. Her eyes sharper. They thought she wouldn't see it. They thought she would break. But they made one mistake. A dangerous one. They forgot who she was. And more importantly, they forgot who her father was. Because while Daniel was planning her downfall, Avenue was about to make one move that would turn everything against him. The moment Avenue realized the truth. She didn't cry. She made one phone call that changed everything. Avenue stood in the middle of the dark study. The documents still in her hands. Her dress still stained. Her silence heavier than before. But something inside her had changed. No more confusion. No more shock. Only clarity. She slowly placed the papers down. Straightened them. Like she was putting chaos into order. Then she turned. And walked out. No breakdown. No hesitation. No fear. Just control. The next morning, Avenue didn't look like someone who had been destroyed. She looked like someone preparing for war. Simple black outfit. Hair tied back. Face calm. Eyes unreadable. Her hand rested gently on her stomach as she sat in the back of a car. "Take me to my father," she said quietly. The driver didn't ask questions. He just drove. When the car stopped, she stepped out into a towering glass building. Hartwell Industries. One of the most powerful corporations in the United States. Guards immediately straightened when they saw her. No one stopped her. No one questioned her. Because everyone knew who she was. Avenue walked inside. Slow. Controlled. Focused. And at the top floor, he was waiting. Her father. Theodore Hartwell. A billionaire known for destroying careers with a single decision. Cold. Calculated. Unshakable. He looked at her the moment she entered. And instantly noticed something was different. "You found out," he said calmly. Not a question. A statement. Avenue nodded once. No emotion. Just truth. Then she placed the file on the table. "I want everything exposed," she said. Her voice steady. Controlled. Final. Theodore opened the file. Scanned it. No reaction at first. Then slowly. A slight shift in his expression. Interest. Recognition. Approval. "This is bigger than betrayal," he said quietly. Avenue didn't blink. "I know." Silence filled the room. Then Theodore leaned back in his chair. And made a decision. "Then we do it properly." That was all he said. But Avenue understood immediately. This wasn't going to be emotional revenge. This was going to be destruction, with precision. Over the next hours, plans were made. Quietly. Carefully. Methodically. Financial records. Property transfers. Hidden accounts. Security footage requests. Legal positioning. Every detail was being prepared. Avenue watched everything. Silent. Focused. Learning. This was no longer her pain. It was strategy. Later that night, Avenue stood alone in her father's office, looking out over the city skyline. Her reflection stared back at her through the glass. A woman no longer broken. Behind her, the files sat neatly stacked. Evidence. Proof. Power. She placed her hand on her stomach. "They think they're winning," she whispered softly. A pause. "They're not. Because tomorrow night, at the biggest gala of the year, Daniel was about to learn that the woman he tried to destroy was already one step ahead. Tomorrow night, at the most powerful gala in New York." Daniel walked in smiling, not knowing his entire life was already over. The city glittered that night. Another elite gala. Same world. Same people. Same stage of power. But this time, Avenue wasn't the one being watched. She was the one waiting. Inside the grand ballroom, Daniel Weston adjusted his cufflinks. Confident. Smiling. Perfectly composed. Beside him stood Amber. No fear. No hesitation. Like nothing had ever happened. They believed they had won. They believed Avenue was broken somewhere, silent, defeated. But they were wrong. Completely wrong. Across the room, the lights dimmed slightly. A shift in atmosphere. People noticed. Whispers began again. And then, the main screen behind the stage turned on. At first, confusion. Then silence. Security footage appeared. The gala. The scissors. The champagne. Avenue standing humiliated. Gasps filled the room instantly. Daniel's smile faded. Just slightly. Amber's hand froze. The footage continued. Then another screen. Financial records. Bank transfers. Hidden accounts. Fraudulent deals. Daniel's face tightened. He turned slightly toward security. Confused. Uncertain. But it was too late. The doors at the side of the ballroom opened. Avenue walked in. Slow. Calm. Composed. But completely different from before. No fear. No hesitation. No vulnerability. Just power. Her father, Theodore Hartwell, followed behind her. And the entire room went silent. Because everyone knew what that meant. Trouble. Theodore stepped forward first. His voice calm. Cold. Unshakable. Tonight, he said, you are all witnesses. He turned toward Daniel. To fraud. Then toward Amber. To conspiracy and assault. The screen behind them changed again. Legal documents. Witness statements. Evidence. Everything exposed. Amber stepped back slightly. For the first time. Uncertain. Daniel tried to speak. But no sound came out at first. Then finally. This is a misunderstanding. But Theodore raised his hand. Silencing him instantly. No, he said. It's evidence. Security moved in. Fast. Professional. Amber was the first to be restrained. She struggled. Panicked. But it was over. Daniel stood frozen. Watching. Processing. Breaking. Then he looked at Avenue. For the first time that night. He saw her clearly. Not the woman he thought he controlled. Not the wife he discarded. But someone untouchable. Avenue stepped forward slowly. Her voice soft. But sharp enough to cut through the silence. You tried to take my child, she said. A pause. And my life. Silence. Then she added. But you forgot one thing. She looked at him directly. I was never alone. Daniel's face collapsed slightly. Everything sinking in at once. The empire. The plan. The control. Gone. Moments later. Police entered. The room erupted in chaos. Flashes. Whispers. Shock. Amber was taken out first. Screaming. Struggling. Daniel followed. Silent now. Defeated. No more confidence. No more control. Just consequences. Outside the gala. Reporters flooded the entrance. Cameras flashing. The story already spreading. Time passed. Quietly. Months later. Avenue stood at another gala. Same world. Same lights. But different life. She wore a bold red gown. Not to impress, but to own the room. Beside her stood her child. Safe. Protected. Loved. She no longer looked like someone surviving. She looked like someone who had already won. As cameras flashed, she didn't react. She simply turned slightly. And smiled. Not for them. For herself. They tried to destroy her in public. But in the end, she became the most powerful woman in the room.